Hi, and welcome back to the Yogi YouTube channel. My name is Julia, your yoga instructor for arthritis. And in today's video, I will be focusing on accessible ways of performing Pigeon Pose. Pigeon Pose is a great hip opener, a great stretch for the hip flexors, the glutes, the piriformis, and it can help alleviate lower back pain while helping and aiding in digestion. Pigeon Pose might also help on a mental and emotional level to decrease stress as well as release emotional blockages. The name Pigeon Pose comes from the actual pigeon because in its classical form, it looks as though a pigeon is puffing up its chest. There are different ways to perform Pigeon Pose to make it accessible for everyone. Today, you will be learning 4 variations of Pigeon Pose, including a seated version with the chair, standing version with the chair, a classical variation with supportive props, and a restorative variation using a wall. What you'll need for today's short unwind and stretch for the glute practice is a yoga mat, a chair without arms, if you have one, a folded blanket, 2 yoga blocks, and a cushion from your couch or a foam pad if you have one at home, a free wall, and we'll get started. Let's begin seated on the edge of our chair. For our seated variation of Pigeon Pose, we'll slowly take our left leg and send it over the right leg if that's available to us, while flexing the toes towards us. Instead of pointing the toes or letting our foot be limp, allow the toes to gently flex towards you and allow the knee to gently open, placing your hand underneath for support. And if this feels comfortable, sit up nice and tall and breathe, staying in this position. You can also take this variation lower down on a block if you'd like, placing a block in front of the right foot on the highest height. You can send your left foot on top of the block and make sure it's nice and steady and allow that left knee to open to the left, coming into the same shape but a little bit lower on the floor, which makes this a little bit more accessible. So you can listen to your body, maybe place the hands to your heart or gently place them on your lap. Keep one hand supported to your left knee while keeping a nice long spine. And in the second part of this seated variation, we'll gently hinge forward from the hips without moving our lower body. You're simply leaning forward with a nice open heart. And notice if you feel a difference in the stretch. If you're looking at this posture from the side with your leg on top of the thigh or your block, it looks like this: upright position, and then gently leaning forward from the heart to feel maybe more intensity in the glute. Relaxing the shoulders, and then coming back to an upright position. The opposite leg, if it doesn't feel right, you can come down to a block, like I mentioned. Same position once again, just a lower height for the foot. Breathe in, long spine, upright position. And when you're ready, you can slowly lean forward from the hips with an open heart and gently breathe in and out, softening the shoulders down the back. And notice the intensity changing as you lean forward. If it feels good, you can stay here for a few mindful breaths, and if not, then you can come back to the upright position. So that was a seated variation of pigeon that I like to take with my students that want to enjoy a seated variation of this practice, that might have some pain and constrictions around the knee joints, the ankles, the hips. Now coming into the standing variation of pigeon, find yourself behind a chair. Gently place the hands to the top of the chair and gently bend the knees. Coming into a mountain pose to begin this posture. Breathe in and breathe out. This is a little bit more physical. You want to place the weight into your right foot, really create equal distribution in the foot as you lift your left foot off the ground and across the body, flexing the toes towards you, just like we did in our seated variation. You can gently bend your front knee and bring your weight to the heel and the four corners of the feet, coming into a gentle bend, keeping an upright position. We're flexing our toes towards us, and we should feel a nice stretch in the right glute with our left leg over the right. Maybe you're working your balance, but I like to keep a chair here for your support. So if you're not using a chair, you can use a wall in front of you, or you can work your balance, making sure that your knee is in line with your middle toe, keeping a nice tall spine. Breathe in and out, keeping the hips level. Coming into a nice stretch. I like to make this an unwinding kind of stretch, so I like having the chair in front of me. You can release that side and we'll switch to the opposite side. Taking our right leg over the left this time. Flex the toes towards you. You might need to give yourself a little hand by gently pulling on the ankle to come up the thigh, as long as there's no pain in that right knee. Bend your left knee and sit back towards your heel of your left foot. Gently place your hands to the front of your chair, and then we're going to come into a gentle little seat, keeping the spine nice and long. Breathe in and breathe out in pigeon pose standing. You always have the option to slowly explore postures. You can come down to your forearms if that's available to you. You can release your head, gazing down, checking the alignment of your knee and your middle toe, making sure your hips are leveled, and pressing through your chair. Slowly release your leg. You can pedal out the feet. Back to mountain for a quick body scan, noticing how you feel. Now we'll come down to pigeon on our yoga mats with the use of some supportive props. There are a few instances where this version of pigeon pose should be avoided, including sacro or back injury, ankle injury, certain knee injuries, or extreme tightness in the hips. I will guide you step by step. Please know that you can use the two variations that I shared with you before, or you can give this one a try if you don't have any of the injuries that I mentioned. And please be aware of your joints and how you're feeling. You shouldn't come into a posture that does not feel good for your body. So we'll come into this very mindfully and remember that this is about unwinding. It's not about stressing our bodies. So we have our props right over here, a folded blanket, a knee pad, and some blocks. You can bring cushions from your couch or whatever you have at home. Starting in tabletop position with our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips, using whatever supportive props feel good underneath the knees or the hands and wrists. You can slowly come to the toes, breathe in, press through the heels, through the hands to come up to downward facing dog, inverted V. So as you can see, it looks like an upside down V position for downward facing dog. And it doesn't matter if your heels can't come down to the floor. You want to be lengthening through the spine and the back of the legs, the hamstrings, the calves. You can bend one knee at a time. And take a few mindful breaths, maybe even exhaling through the mouth. Inhale the right leg up towards the sky. You can even take a little hip opener by bending the knee and sending the heel to the opposite side. And then you can send your leg back in alignment with your hips, extending that leg out behind you. And then we'll send it forward. The knee comes forward. And as you can see, right now I'm at a bit of a standstill because I need props, especially on this side of my leg. And it might not be the best version for everyone, so be mindful. I like using soft props underneath my hips. So someone might use a block underneath the hips, for example, like this. Maybe stack a second block like that. Place it underneath the glute. And then that way I can extend my back leg and come into a more comfortable position for my knee and my hips. Be very gentle with the wrists if you have arthritis in the hands and wrists. As you can see, I keep my foot gently flexed towards me to protect my knee joint, and your hips are not open, they're facing downward towards your mat and they're leveled. You're breathing in and out, and you might feel stiff at first, and as you start to surrender into this posture, you might be able to remove a block, but you want to listen to your body and do so extremely mindfully. You can have your hands grounded into all 10 fingers, creating equal distribution in the palms and lifting the chest, or you can come to a fist if that's more comfortable for your wrists, or to blocks, which might feel good. And you want to make sure that this is the right position for you. It is a back bend and it is very intense on the hip and outer rotation. So it might not be the best position for everyone. Again, you can come back to the first or second variation. To come out of this pose very mindfully, you want to send your toes back to your mat and press into both of your hands. Slide your leg back and come into downward facing dog. And you can stretch out the legs, pedal the feet. You can bend your knees, inhale, and exhale through the mouth. I'm going to take the same variation, but prepare our props here on the other side. So coming into downward facing dog, grounding into all 10 fingers, gently soften the knees, soften the feet, and we're going to reach the left leg up, keeping the hips down, and then slowly bend the knee and open up the hip, keeping your shoulders leveled. Take a few mindful breaths. In this hip opener, this is just an added little treat. And you can come back to center, extend through the back heel, and then slowly send your knee to the inside of your left wrist. As you can see, my right knee is coming down to the earth. You can slide a foam knee cushion underneath the knee, like so, to make it more comfortable. And most importantly, you want to support this hip so that way you can keep your hips leveled. And next, you want to support your hands and wrists. So maybe it's not comfortable to come to the hands. Maybe you want to come to blocks and bend the elbows slightly inward. Lift the heart, soften the shoulders and the chest. Your foot is gently flexed towards you. And again, there's different variations that you can take here. This is quite a back bend, so it might not be great for everyone. You can come down to yoga blocks on your forearms if that feels better than placing your hands down onto your yoga mat. You can relax your wrists and take a few mindful breaths while you just roll out the wrists. Breathe. Soften your shoulders behind you. And again, keep making sure that those hips are leveled and you're not leaning to one side too generously. And I recommend taking 10 to 15 mindful breaths and just allow yourself to surrender and soften in this pose. A lot of times we store our emotions in our hips, so this might be a nice stress reliever, a nice release of emotional blockages in the body. When you're ready to come out of your pose after taking some time, you want to press into your hands, curl the toes under, press through the hands, slide your leg back in line with the right, and come into downward facing dog. Take a few full inhales and exhales, stretching out the spine and the legs after coming into that glute stretch. Bending the knees as generously as you'd like. Maybe gently shaking the head yes and no. Releasing the cervical spine a little bit. And you can come down to your mat or a foam pad. And we'll come into the final variation, which is using this free wall. Maybe keep a blanket for your head if you want to just fold it one time and keep it as a little pillow. For reclined pigeon. And I like using a wall because it can provide a bit of intensity, but it can provide also some support. Close to the wall in a little fetal position, and have your blanket handy for your head. Release your head down to your folded blanket. Breathe in and breathe out in fetal position. When you're ready, you can slowly roll the body up the wall, bending the knees at 90 degrees. And the closer you are to the wall, the more of a stretch. So if you want to release some of the stretch, then back up a little bit off of the wall and release the arms and the palms facing up. Take a deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can take your right leg over the right leg and gently flex the toes towards you. As you can see, I have a lot of tightness in the right hip, mainly due to constriction in this knee joint, a lot of pain from arthritis. So I'm very gentle and mindful, especially when it comes to the right hip and the right knee. And you don't have to put any pressure, you don't have to do anything. You have your left foot up against the wall. You have your right leg over the left thigh, gently flexing the toes towards you. And if it feels good, you can stay here for a more restorative posture. And if you're not feeling that much of a stretch in your right hip or glute, you can gently press the right thigh open, whether you're using your forearm or your hand. Maybe use two hands gently to press open. Soften the shoulders and breathe. You can slowly release the hands, release the pressure, and open the palms. So notice how you feel. Slowly send the right foot to meet the left on the wall. Good. Placing the right foot on the wall, send the left leg over the right. Flex the toes gently towards you. And this just protects the knee joint of the left knee. And notice how you feel on this side. You might notice some differences. Simply bring awareness into your practice, into your body. And don't judge yourself. Just be present and loving towards your body. Allowing it to open. If you feel good here, you can stay in this position, or you can take one or two hands to your left thigh and slowly press forward, gently opening the hip and slowly releasing that pressure and allowing your palms of your hands to open towards the sky. Taking a few more breaths in this position. I like to hold restorative poses a little bit longer. So if you came down into this restorative version of Reclined Pigeon, then you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. And then you can slowly release the left foot to meet your right. Breathe in. Breathe out fully. And when you're ready, you can slowly roll to your right side, keeping your little pillow. Soften your body. And be gentle with yourself today. Take as much time as you need to unwind. I hope that you enjoyed this short unwind and stretch for the glutes. If you did, then please do like this video. You can share it with a loved one or a friend, and make sure to subscribe to my free yoga channel for arthritis. I hope that you have an amazing day, and if you'd like to practice something a little bit more yang, a little bit more fiery, you can always check out my next video called Eka Pada, leg lifts for beginners, a 15-minute core and leg routine, the Yogi. So I'll make sure to link that as the next video or link it below, so that way you can find this practice for your morning or for your day, and then unwind at the end of your day with this practice or before bed. Thank you for watching and for joining. Namaste.